your ears are always listening, right? So you never know, sometimes you might have adapted to a belief system that might come later in life, and you're like, where did I get this belief system from, right? So I think
so I'm going to use something really funny here,
Yeah.
and my husband's hopefully never going to watch this.
Hello, Enrich community. This is your virtual bestie, Simran Adderley. Welcome back to the Enrich Podcast, the show where we explore topics that inspire personal and professional growth. Today, we have a special guest with us, Maria Sideris. And Maria is also my Reiki teacher. And this is how we met each other. And I am so glad that I have her here. And she took out time from her busy schedule to be with us today. Maria Sideris is a compassionate registered therapeutic counselor, holistic psychotherapist, certified clinical hypnotherapist, life coach, and a Reiki Master. She founded H2M Living, promoting healing the whole self through heart to mind living for emotional and mental coherence. With expertise in psychology, counseling, and holistic healing, Maria helps countless individuals overcome struggles and lead fulfilling lives. Her approach focuses on interconnectedness of heart, mind, body, and soul, addressing all aspects of a person's well-being. As a life coach, she empowers clients to set and achieve goals, unlocking their full potential. Maria hosts workshops and offers individual therapy, group therapy, life coaching, and Reiki healing, aiming to bring balance, harmony, and fulfillment to individuals' lives. In her free time, Maria enjoys practicing yoga, meditation, cooking, and spending time in nature. She's passionate about mental health and wellness and is dedicated to helping others on their journey toward healing and self-discovery. With her compassionate and empowering approach, Maria inspires those who seek to live a life of purpose and joy. Welcome to the show, Maria.
Thank you for having me here.
Of course, my pleasure. So today we're going to be talking about belief systems and how they're formed. So shall we dive right into the episode?
Let's do it.
Awesome. So I think we can start off with this question. If you could start off with your experience and your educational background, what are belief systems and how they are formed?
Okay, so belief systems, they are the systems that shape our world.
Mm-hmm.
They are where we come from. They are what our truths, our knowns, our maps,
Mm-hmm.
our blueprints. So everything that we experience in life comes from the lenses of our belief system.
Correct. Yeah. And so could you tell me, what are the common factors that contribute to the formation of belief systems?
Okay, so they're the stories we're told.
Yeah.
They're the stories we're told from the moment we're born. It depends, all our stories are different depending on our culture, like what country we're born in, what culture we're born in, what society that we live in, their norms, their laws, the expectations of our societies, our teachers, the adults, the authority figures in our lives. Those, when we're young, start to shape our belief system because we're just born. We, like a child is born, whether they're here or they're in another country, they don't know. They're born and then they're given a set of rules to live by.
Yeah. So that's very interesting because if you think about it, when we're born, we don't have any belief systems. We're not taught how to hate, to love, or anything. No. We watch our parents, our caregivers, or go to school and learn there, right? So I think that is very important to understand that too.
It's modeled to us.
Yeah.
It's given to us. There are givens. There are other people's knowns, our cultural knowns, and they're just handed to us through modeling, through expectations, through teaching. And when we're children under the age of 7, mostly between 0 and 5, we're just little sponges. We don't know. We can't discern. We have nothing to discern with. So we just accept everything. We're just like, yep, that's true. Yep, that's true. Yep, that's true. That's what's true. That's what's not. And then that starts to define how we live our lives.
Very true. So if you could tell me, how do belief systems influence our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors?
Well, they influence everything.
Yeah.
Every thought that we have is stemming from our belief system.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, our thoughts, our words will contribute to how we feel, our emotions. And then that will eventually be our actions, our behaviors, how we behave towards people.
Mm-hmm.
So just think of, anything that is given to you from your family, how to treat people, how to treat yourself, how to treat animals, how to treat anything, or, even how you're going to believe if, something like a superstition. Like if you walk under a ladder, you're going to have bad luck. If you break a mirror, and some people don't have that, so they don't understand it. So then you start to look for that, and whatever it is that your belief system is, you start to look for it. And once you still look for it, you have that confirmation bias, and then it just reinstates it. So another way our belief systems are formed and stick is through the experience of them.
Mm-hmm.
So we're given this belief, then we start looking for it through our confirmation bias, and then we experience it and you're going, oh yeah, that's right, that's true. It's our truth. And look how it happens.
And they're reinforced because we do them again and again and think about the same thing again and again.
Yeah.
So true. And something that I do want to mention, and I read this not too long ago, and basically our thoughts either imprison us or they set us free. So I think it's so important to really catch ourselves in the narrative that we keep telling ourselves. Like, are these thoughts really serving me, or they're closing me off?
Well, right? I always say, are they helpful?
Yeah.
Are they helping you?
Mm-hmm.
Or are they unhealthy?
Mm-hmm.
Are they causing you some disservice? Are they empowering you, or are they limiting you?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So this is it. But our belief systems, some people are brought up that, money is really, really the root of all evil. And so they look for that reason. They look for the belief system to be confirmed. Oh, money is, look at rich people, they do all this, they do that. Or whatever else, it could be a limiting belief, right? If I eat this certain food, it will affect me in this way. So then, it will. Or, you live against the whatever belief system that has been handed to you through your teachers, that you're not smart, you can't learn, or whatever it is, or you're bad behaved. I, working in the school system for so long, saw this all the time, that authority figures pass down, whether it's at home or caregivers or teachers, in a state where a child is really vulnerable and they accept it, and then they can't learn because they've shut it off because they believe that they can't.
Very true. And I think, like, growing up too, I've heard this a lot around me with the belief system that if you touched on the topic about, if you make a lot of money, you must be evil, you must be doing something wrong. And I heard that so many times. And I think that really stopped me a few times of earning, because I thought, like, to make a lot of money, I had to do something wrong to someone, right? Yeah. So I think that is another belief that we should slash and work on. And of course, watch your steps and watch your actions. Are you doing something wrong to someone? But if you're not, there's nothing wrong with making a lot of money. That's how you're going to help someone.
So a good way of canceling a belief system, just jumping a little bit ahead here, is if we're going to the lack mentality belief system, do you know anybody who's doing anything bad that doesn't have a lot of money?
Yeah. Yes.
Right? So yeah. Right? Do you know anybody who does a lot of good that has a lot of money?
Yeah.
Right?
Of course. Yeah.
So there it is. That's now we're just stopping, we're getting ahead of the game here, but we'll get to that eventually. But it is looking at the belief system that you have. If it's not serving you, and how can I change it?
Yeah, no, so true. And that was my next question. If we can talk about an example of, how a person's belief system can shape their perception of a situation or event. Is there another belief system in your practice that you see with your patients a lot more that's evident and then stops them to become the best version of themselves? Like something that you see with your clients a lot more often?
For my clients, usually it's a lack belief system. It's a lack in something. It's a lack in themselves. But I really love to use an example because it's very simple. Is when I worked with the kids. I'm going to go back to that I had said earlier. I worked with so many kids who had challenges in different ways. But I'm just going to use math, because a lot of people think they're not good at math.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, Mrs. S, I'm really, really bad at math. I can't figure this out. I'm dumb. I'm this. They start to give themselves labels because people will live up or down to the expectations that you set for them. The labels that they've been given, they will live up to it.
That becomes their identity,
right?
Yeah.
So then I say, okay, you say this, you say that, you can't do, well in math, and then we'll bring out some money or we'll do something that's really interesting to them. Every child is individual. That's why, I can't give a really broad sample, but I'm going to give this one. And then we go, what if it's not that you're not smart? What if it's not that you're not, unteachable? What if it's the way you were taught? What if you weren't taught the way your brain needs to learn?
Yeah.
So it's the same with all belief systems at this point that you would like to change, is changing the perspective, reshaping the reality.
Yeah. And you touched on the concept of confirmation bias. So we're basically finding that confirmation of our belief system, right? So
we're wired that way.
Yeah. So if a student thinks that they're not good in math, they're finding all the reasons they're not good in math, right? So
and that, they will look for every reason that they're not. Yeah. And the thing is, again, people come to me and we have discussions and they're afraid of their unknowns, right? When they want to change and they're like, I can't do that. I can't do this. A lot of I can'ts, I shoulds. And then I go, well, maybe it's just something you don't know yet. So, start to change it because you're going to look for reasons to confirm your beliefs. Belief systems are what can really limit your life experience.
So true. So would you say these belief systems are conscious or subconscious?
Well, with my training as a clinical hypnotherapist, and my own study, I've studied the mind for over 20 years. I believe that it's, and what I've learned, not just what I believe, what I've learned is mostly it's subconscious programs that lead our conscious life.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes, because 95% of the time we're running off these subconscious programs, right?
We are. And the thing is, we're not even aware that they've been handed down to us because it's happened at the time when we were most vulnerable, when we were children, young children, or when we're in a very vulnerable state. So we're in a heightened state, whether we're really, really upset or really, really angry or in an emergency situation or in an abusive situation with trauma, some kind of trauma happening, and somebody says something, or an authority figure, when we're in fear, we're in a place where our mind is open without the critical thinking part of our brain. And so we're given this. So subconsciously, and then we don't even know where they come from, where they stem from. And then we consciously are acting out on them.
So how would you become aware of these belief systems and these thoughts that are in your head? Yeah.
This is a big one.
Yeah.
It begins with honesty.
Yeah.
It begins with noticing that my life is limited. But it first becomes with honesty. Do you see the limits? And then when you are honest, start writing them down. And once you start writing them down, you can start to challenge them.
Absolutely. So true. Yeah. And I think when you become honest with yourselves, it is scary at first, right? You're like, I can't believe I am responsible of certain things, or it's my responsibility to unlearn, right? So for sure. Yeah. Because you can't stop the world around you to tell you certain things. The onus is on you, right? As you become older, I think it's all about taking responsibility.
Absolutely.
And
So like, I think of someone who says, who their belief system that everyone's out to get them. The world sucks. There's only bad humans. There's like all this stuff is going bad in the world. So they're going to have the confirmation bias by reading the news, listening to, when people are having conversation, they only hear the parts of it that confirm that the world is bad. They only hear the part of the conversation where things are negative. They're not opening to the conversations that, there could be something better out there. So they're just confirming it and confirming it. And so what they're doing is they're not going to be honest and say to themselves that this is limiting my life. They'll be like, no, this is it. So until they realize themselves, a human being themselves says, wow, my life is limited having this belief. and having that honesty, then building the awareness and figuring out which beliefs are the ones that are not working for them, and then actually writing them down and challenging each belief, you're not going to see any difference in your life.
Mm-hmm.
You're just going to keep on living and confirming that what you believe is true.
Yeah. So how do these belief systems really impact our relationships with other people and society in general? Because I see, like, if you think a certain way, you want to be part of this one group. You don't want to let other people in sometimes when you think a certain way, right? I think it's all about belief systems. So how do you think, from your experience and background in this field, how do these belief systems impact relationships with others?
They impact everything.
Yeah.
They impact everything we do. In a positive way, they build a rapport and a strong bond with people who share the same beliefs as us.
Mm-hmm.
They give us a community. And, as humans, we're social. So we enjoy our community. We enjoy social interactions.
Yeah.
So we use our belief systems to bring us together. Now, this is where it gets tricky. Are the people that we're blending with and we have the rapport within our community, are they helpful in the wider range of the world? Is it healthy for the wider range of the world, or is it bringing a negative impact to the world?
Yeah, that's very true, because everything is energy, right? And the way and the same type of people you interact with, your perception basically becomes the same, right? Because it's being reinforced, and you're always listening, right? Even if you feel like you think you're conscious, but your ears are always listening, right? So you never know, sometimes you might have adapted to a belief system that might come later in life, and you're like, where did I get this belief system from, right? So I think
so I'm going to use something really funny here,
Yeah.
and my husband's hopefully never going to watch this. We've been together for 37 years, married for 35, for 33 of them. We have friends that golf. And he would be like, oh my God, it's such a stupid sport, golf. Why would anybody wear those stupid outfits? Who would be out there golfing? Like, what, you just hit a ball and goes in this little hole? Like, I don't understand why people get up at 7 a.m. to do that, or 5 a.m. to be there at 7. We holidayed with our closest friends that we holiday with, and her husband golfed, and he'd be like, come golf. No, he would be like, so again. He literally believed that it was the worst sport. And everything about it was horrible.
Mm-hmm.
A couple years ago, same friend said, for my birthday this year, because it was COVID and they were in our bubble and we were together, I would like you to come for golf, because him and his wife and I started golfing just to get out in the fresh air, because it was COVID. And he goes, I don't want to golf alone with our wives. Why don't you just come for my birthday and do this? And he goes, okay, since you're my really good friend, for your birthday, I will try golfing. Well, since then, my husband has 2 or 3 sets of clubs, about 4 pairs of shoes. His golf outfits have taken up half of his closet. And he probably golfs 3 times a week. And he's going consecutively this weekend and next week on 2 different golf trips. Change of belief system. Because he allowed himself to be open to try something different. He stayed closed, and then he allowed growth to come in. And it's a silly way to see it, but that is a belief system.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah. Great example. Another question, really important question that I wanted to ask you, if you can share some techniques and strategies that can be used to modify or reshape our belief systems.
Okay. Again, you need honesty.
Yeah.
Right? And for a motivational factor. So we're going to use the golf. His motivational factor was his friendship. His motivational factor was being part of the rapport of the group. Right? So, having a motivational factor, which also helps, say, with smoking or losing weight or something like that. Finding that. Then honesty. And then, the awareness of what it is that needs to change. I would usually work with my clients. Let's write them down. Once you write them down, kind of get up, shake that off. Then write down what it is that you want.
Mm-hmm.
You clarify that what you want. And then, because we have to do actual work, I come up with a mantra or a word or something that'll bring you back into focus to what you want.
Mm-hmm.
And then, practice visualization, practice, and then all the other techniques. That's like such a broad spectrum. It's almost like amoxicillin. Everything else, finding a therapist that is aligned with what you want and one that you have good rapport with. And so for me, I tailor it to the client, obviously, because, some things visualization might work for some. It might not work for others. Writing down might work for some, might not work for others, right? There's different techniques that I know as an LLP practitioner, different techniques that I use in hypnotherapy. Hypnotherapy is a great tool if you want to change a strong belief system, because it goes to where the belief was formed. It goes to your subconscious. It puts you in a state of relaxation and openness when you've come with it, because this has to be your idea. Mm-hmm. And then the clinical hypnotherapist such as myself will get you into that state and use your words, your terminology to instate the behavior and the belief that you want.
Yeah, I love that. I love that stuff. I also do want to mention one thing. I think when we're releasing old belief systems and creating new beliefs, we go through this transitionary period where we're dancing back and forth between the old belief and the new belief. And I think a lot of people often get frustrated, right? They're like, well, why am I not changing? And I think, with your background, I think like if you can tell our listeners, it's okay to dance back and forth, because those belief systems have been part of you for a very long time. And just be patient, right? I think you're going to mess up. You're going to go through these waves. So if, I'm sure there's so many belief systems that you formed earlier in your life. And then when you were slashing them and you're creating these new belief systems, you went through that dance as well. You're like back and forth.
For me, my biggest thing is weight. Yeah. That has been my struggle. And so I just went through a whole change. Yeah. The last few years, I've lost 60 pounds.
That's amazing.
And, and I did the work. I changed my belief systems on how I ate. I changed I took actions. I had to be so honest with myself, my awareness of, really getting to know me, what I eat and everything. Anyways, long story short is I did it. Yeah. And then I got relaxed. Yeah. And then things happened. Life brought me things. And what did I do? I reverted back to my knowns. Not my belief systems, because, I believed I was worthy. But then I started to allow my belief systems to waver. I lost my motivational factors. I lost it all. And then again, I had to be honest. Because
they were familiar.
They were familiar. And then I had to be honest with myself and say, okay, what is it? And then regroup. Yeah. And it's okay to regroup and reinstate everything and, recharge and go ahead. And that's okay to allow yourself to stumble and just pick yourself up again. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. You're very true about that, because 2020 was one of the best years for me in terms of like healing, and I was the happiest I've been in like few years. And then of course, like I hit rock bottom again in 2021, and I was like, what just happened? Right. Mm-hmm. And I think I wasn't honest with myself, and I wasn't really accepting of like change of things happening in my life. And I was like, well, I was just happy before. Why is it happening to me again? I went through this healing. Mm-hmm. And then I actually came to a realization that healing is never linear. Never. It's never a straight line, and you're going to go through these waves and back and forth. And I, like you said, I had to be honest with myself. It was my belief system. I was so stuck on like, well, I was happy, and I was stuck on the past. Right. Yeah. So that is also another important thing, that when you are healing, and that's why they say a lot of people cannot go through the healing process, is because they're like, well, it's not working. It is working. You're taking one step every single day. Just like when you go to the gym and you work out one day, you don't wake up the next day and you're like, well, I have built all this muscle, right? Well, you're building that muscle in your head.
And it's like a practice. I have in my line of work, and when you come work with me, we develop some daily practices, just like brushing your teeth. You stop brushing your teeth every day, right? That's what it is. That's and I work with your words. I work with your thoughts. I work with your emotions and your actions. Your values and your belief systems. That's what I work with. And then once we get that, from there we design some daily practices that work for you. And people are like, oh, daily practices, I don't want to meditate. Or you know what? We find what works for you and your life. And then we go from there. And where do you want to go? A lot of people don't even know where they want to go. So we work a lot with that as well. Yeah.
Could you also tell me, how can these belief systems contribute to psychological issues or our personal growth?
Well, your psychological issues is if you believe that everything is going to cause you to feel like this, or certain things are going to cause you to feel like this, then they will. Because it's a lot of shoulds. We're given a lot of shoulds in life. It's very rigid. How, when you're feeling down, or when you're feeling anxious, if you're feeling, feelings that are not good, let's just put it that way, that are not, helpful and healthy, and they're not putting you in a state where, you can move on in comfort. When you're feeling in discomfort, it's not a bad thing, but if you're feeling that, it's because you're really usually living in shoulds and rigidity. And just think of something that's rigid, it can break easy, right? So it's, I try and change your belief system, change your values, change your beliefs to be a little bit more flexible, so you're more flexible. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
And could you also provide some practical tips or exercises for our listeners here to start examining and understanding their own belief systems?
Again, we're going to go back to honesty.
Okay.
Yeah, it all comes back to, first of all, is awareness and honesty come hand in hand. Having awareness, is this not helpful? Right? Okay, do I want to make a change? If I want to make a change, okay, let's be honest with myself. What is it that I need to change? And that's the hardest part, being honest about ourselves, because we can't fix anything or anyone. The only thing we have control over is ourselves. And then from there, again, like I said earlier, the steps is to start becoming aware by writing things down, jotting them down so you can see them, and then challenging them. And then from there, coming up with steps, but shaking it off, shaking that energy off. When you're saying everything is energy, everything is energy. Shaking off that energy, getting it going for a walk, putting on some music that's going to motivate you, empower you, and then come back and say, okay, this is what I want. This is how I see it. And then create the new path for yourself.
I love that.
Yeah.
So my last question for you is, what makes you feel motivated and inspired?
For me, it's seeing people heal, seeing people live the life that they desire for themselves, not what everybody else expects of them, culturally, society, environment, family, friends, spouses, what you want.
I love that.
Yeah. And and helping people find that and then get on that path. Yeah.
And anything that you would like to add on to anything else that we missed today before we end this episode?
I think we covered a lot and it was great. And then, again, awareness, mindfulness, honesty. And then, like you were saying going to the gym. If you feel like, it's a lot to do on your own, there's people out there like myself and other people that can help you through it. People get, personal trainers at the gym. People get trainers to help you with everything. Just look at it like you are a life coach. Like, coming to someone who has the knowledge, who has the ability, who isn't part of your everyday life. And
who's been there where
who's
you
been
are
there
today.
exactly. And in some instances, I haven't been in every situation that my clients bring to me. However, I listen and I use my skills and my knowledge to help them find the path that they want to live the life that they desire, and we move forward. I think that's a big one, because what I hear mostly from my clients is how mental health has a stigma. And I don't think that you need to see a therapist or a life coach just to find healing, because people think, I can only go there. You can go even if you feel healed, but you just want to change.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And could you also tell our listeners where they can find you on social media or maybe your website?
I'm not a big social media person, but I'm trying because I do work with my clients to just give some rest from social media.
Of course,
That's a whole other podcast altogether.
Yes.
But
many more to come.
I do. There's a place for social media and a place where it's harmful and a place where it's helpful.
Of course.
Yeah. But should email me. You can post my email on there, and that's probably the best way to get in touch with me. Yeah,
for sure. I will be adding all of her links. She does have an Instagram. I will be making sure it's underneath the show notes. Yeah, for sure. So give her a follow there as well, and I'll link her email. She, as I mentioned, she's also my Reiki teacher. So give her a follow if you guys want to try Reiki, and it is energy healing. She can tell you more about it. I love it personally myself. So I'll be adding all of the links underneath the show notes. So thank you so much for being here today. I had so much fun doing this.
Thank you.
And I just can't wait to have you again on my show.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Yeah.
And thank you for listening.
Yeah, of course. Take care, guys. So we're now at the end of the episode. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode as much as I enjoyed having Maria on here. And I'm going to leave you guys with, like I always do, sending you a lot of love and positive vibes. Take care.